Oh, oh, Beth. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the newest episode of the Theater Enthusiast podcast. As always, I have my hot priest candle lit. I actually forgot to show you. I have a hot priest candle as a mug that says Neil on the back. I know my guest is really into this. Anyway, so my next guest, I worked with her a few months back actually, and like just no pun intended with what I'm about to say, wickedly talented. It's not a pun, I promise you. It's the truth. I forgot there's an app I use to introduce people and I forgot to open it. So I'm just like riffing until I introduce you. Here it is. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Jackie Burns.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
My God.
It usually cuts out at some point during the Zoom recording, but yeah. Hello, Jackie Burns.
Hi.
Thank you for coming on. I have the wicked mug for you. I held the wicked mug up to the microphone.
I love it. And everybody's like, I can hear it.
I can hear.
There it is. Oh, it's kind of beautiful.
Thank you. I can carry a tune.
Introducing Broadway's next Elphaba.
Oh my God. That would be like, if we're going to go there, I really identify with her a lot. And I'm not going to go into like my reasoning why, but I do.
Why not go into, I mean, you are wearing the black dress. I feel like
it's true. 99% of my wardrobe is black. And my friend freshman year of college painted me green because she's like, I want to paint you green. I'm like, all right, I'll go as Elphaba for Halloween.
Heck and then yeah.
She painted me green. And then I sat in my dorm room writing a paper in my witch costume. No, I didn't really go out until like my senior year because freshman year I had to write a paper. Sophomore year I was sick. Junior year, the next day I was in a show. So I was like, I'm going to be like a responsible actor and like not go out. And then senior year, we all went to see like the show, the musical theater people put on. And then we like went to a bar.
I just feel like you said a responsible actor. And I was like, if there's ever been an oxymoron, that like those two words in the same sentence is responsible actor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like we were in college. We thought we were going to be like, yeah. So, but I did dress up for like the theater meeting.
Okay.
But I was a pregnant Nicole Richie because she was pregnant at the time. So my Halloween costume was pregnant Nicole Richie.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed. That's I love Nicole Richie. I was so obsessed with her on her in Paris TV show. Like, I just think she is one of the funniest human beings ever.
Yeah, she's hilarious.
Hilarious.
Yeah, and I have to say that like Paris Hilton is not like as I don't know if you watched her YouTube documentary.
I did not.
It was very interesting.
Is it good?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I'll have to watch it.
Yeah.
I just, honestly, I just don't have enough time on my hands to watch everything. You know what I mean?
It's a pandemic.
Just kidding.
Yeah, isn't it funny? No, like if you think of it though, with the pandemic, I noticed myself like even though I mean I now luckily knock on wood have a job. That's why we had to do it like after 6 because I was working today. But I feel like a lot of people are just like didn't watch any of the new stuff and they just stick with what they knew. Like the entire pandemic, I watched Friends in the office.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's what happened. My mom watched Friends too. I'm the opposite. I did watch all new stuff. Like I have never, the funny thing is in my life, I am not a TV watcher at all. And I always get in trouble for like TV and film auditions. It's like, you have to like know what's going on, right? You know what I mean? You know the shows. Yeah. I'll like watch an episode of a show if I have an audition for that specific show to get like, to understand the tone and pace and all that. But for the most part, I don't really watch TV because during the day you're out doing stuff and then you're doing a show at night and then you get home and maybe I'll watch like a half hour or something while I'm like eating dinner before I go to bed, like at 11 o'clock at night. But it's usually like Top Chef or like Great British Bake Off. But now I've had all this time to watch TV and I am now completely cut off with Handmaid's Tale. I don't know how I've slept on that, but like I'm obsessed. Ted Lasso, the mayor,
Yeah, I didn't watch yet because I wanted all the episodes to be finished.
Smart. And I am only halfway through. So
yeah. I did watch The Never. I mean, I did watch some new stuff too, but I binge a lot of stuff. So like I still am obsessed with Normal People.
Oh my
That
God,
was
Normal
on
People is
Hulu.
amazing. What about Search Party?
That's not I
You?
know myself and I just know I wouldn't like that show.
Okay.
And it's kind of like the same thing where people are like, you're gonna love Broad City. And the only person, my best friend who knows me so well, she's like, that is not your humor. You would not like it. It's like, thank you for understanding, because I feel like I wouldn't. But yeah, no, I just like the newest thing I just watched was The Nevers, and I kind of felt really bad about watching it because it's a Joss Whedon show.
I don't know it at all.
Yeah, it's like it ends up being like this sci-fi type of show that was on HBO. But because of all of the controversy going on with Joss Whedon and him being like a horrible human, I felt really bad and very torn watching it, but I still watched it. And then it just like took a turn that I didn't expect. I'm like, oh,
Is
we're
it good?
going in that direction.
Did you like it?
I did. I mean, I like the cast because Laura Donnelly is in it, and she was in The Ferryman, and she was in that show The River with Hugh Jackman.
Mhm.
And oh my God, what's his face? There was another actor who's in it, who was in a play that I did merch at like 10 years ago called Arcadia.
Oh my God,
So
I love Arcadia. I feel like I'm one of the only people in the world who liked that show.
you know, it's funny when I first saw it, I was like, I have no idea what's going on with
Yep.
the show, but that's like typical Tom Stoppard. But then I ended up doing merch at it because it's a long story, but I ended up doing merch at it like 5 times a week. So I like finally got in and I like grew to love the show and the people who worked at the theater. And it was just like a really fun time there. I met a guy for like a hot second during that show. So
Wow.
the memories all come back 10 years ago
Do you think
around this
he's
time.
listening right now and he's like, she's talking about me?
Oh, he doesn't remember me.
You never know. He might be literally listening right now, being like, you're going to get a DM tomorrow being like,
I'll tell you later. He doesn't remember me.
oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
Anyway, so see, I told you we get off topic.
Yes.
Anyway, hi Jackie Bird. Welcome to the podcast.
Everybody's like, what are they talking about?
Oh, please. The people who listen already know that it goes in like 20 different directions. I can't even tell you, like, I've done so many podcasts where we just started talking about like, I don't even know what, probably like this stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, where are you from?
Where I am from Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
From Ivoryton, Connecticut, which is on the shoreline. It's kind of near the Goodspeed, but they also have Ivoryton Playhouse, which is where I first did my very first show of Sleeping Beauty, where I played the witch when I was like 12 and very upset that I didn't get Sleeping Beauty. But now, look, and my dad was like, Jackie, it's a gift. The villains are always the best. And he was right.
It is. I played, what is it? Like summer going to my senior year, I worked and I interned at the off Broadway theater, 13th Street Repertory Theater.
Mm-hmm.
And as an intern, if you were like an acting intern, you can be in like the kid shows. So I got to play the evil witch and like Rumpelstiltskin or something.
Wow.
And then I think the director was like, "You're too mean." I was like, "But it's fun."
So fun to be mean.
Yeah.
It really
I mean,
is.
I guess it's kind of, we can like, it kind do you, I mean, with Wicked, if we're going to go there,
yeah,
borderline, right?
Yeah.
Play the balance of that.
Yes. I liked it. It was a good segue.
Thank you. Totally unintentional, but I went there. I mean, we're going to talk about Wicked a little later. We can talk about it now.
Whatever you want. I'm here for it.
Well, we'll get into it later. We'll circle back around because I like to start at the very beginning. So your first role was 12. You played the witch in Sleeping Beauty.
Yes.
Did you at any point turn into a dragon?
No, I wish.
Yeah.
It wasn't, it was like a children's theater. So
oh my God.
Budgeted.
Talk about full circle, evil witch, dragon clock, and Wicked.
Oh my God. If that's not a theater enthusiast, I don't know what is.
I'm such a nerd.
Genius. Full circle. Yeah, I'm impressed.
As I like toss my hairs in my headband. I'm also just like hiding my new gray strands of hair.
Oh God, we all have them. Mine
Yeah,
always
I
stick with like alfalfa. I'm like, they're so proud to be present. I'm like,
I
you know
know.
what? Go hang out with that. Like lay down with the rest of my hair.
I have virgin hair. Like the only time I ever put anything in it was when I did a show. The show that I was like, oh, I'm gonna be like a really good actor, not go out for Halloween, was to
Hmm.
play the food chain. And I
Hmm.
was playing like a 56-year-old woman, Long Island accent and Jewish, far stretch for me. And it's very true. And they like painted gray and white into my hair. And that's the only time I like ever had anything in my hair. Didn't
Oh
even
wow.
do like the tween glitter spray that the youth did at my age. Never did
Wow.
anything.
Your
Yeah.
hair is super healthy.
Yeah.
You're lucky.
I try.
Well, with curly hair, you're screwed no matter what,
Yeah.
because your hair is dry and angry, no matter even if you're the nicest human. I would love to dye my hair. I would love to,
Hmm.
more than life itself. But my hair would probably fall out of my head
Do you do like collagen or like biotin or anything? I know that you do
all the time.
everything. Well, I do follow you on Instagram.
Mm.
So my theater enthusiast podcast is follow you. So
Oh,
like you're
wow.
actually like one of the accounts that like I always look at the Insta stories because it just like gives me so much joy.
Thank you.
And like I know that you're doing like a new hair care thing.
I did the Vegamore for a
Hmm.
second. I got like scent stuff, and I did notice that my hair. It's not that my hair grew. Okay, because I've been trying to grow my hair since I was born, and my hair grows to this length and
Mhm.
stops. Like
Yeah.
no matter what, it's so infuriating. And some people's hair genetically, just like I guess it's like genetic code doesn't grow. Says my hair person. But I noticed that when I shower, when I was using that stuff, that I didn't get the big, I don't know, hair spiders, like my hair falls out in clumps. Like I'm always like, how am I not bald by the
Yeah.
time I
Yeah.
get out of right? It's a cuckoo. And
Yeah.
using that stuff, I noticed that like my hair spiders were like much smaller,
Yeah.
less tarantula like, but my hair
Mhm.
definitely didn't like grow. It's still the same. I'm
Yeah.
still in an awkward bob length for my whole life.
Well, the funny thing that you mentioned that is my coworker, she was talking to my other coworker and I today, and she's like, guys, pregnancy hair loss is no joke. So I was like, great, another thing to look forward to.
Wait, when you get pregnant, you lose your hair?
Like afterwards,
Yeah.
I think one of the symptoms is hair
Mhm.
loss.
But isn't that
Yeah.
because you also get your hair grows so much when you're pregnant? So then you
I'm
just
not
probably go back to what you had, or no? I don't
I'm
know.
not getting pregnant anytime soon.
So you're like, who cares?
I mean, like if you know like a good looking single straight guy you want to introduce me to, like let me know. Um,
God,
but
no.
yeah, there's nothing.
I have to say, yeah, like being single, like all of my single girlfriends, the struggle is real. I'll like go through like because I've never really done the dating app thing. Like I did it once. I remember my friend Jenna and Nick we were in Vegas, so it's already intoxicated and not in our
Yeah.
minds. They were like, "We're gonna make you an app," and I was like,
Mhm.
"No, please don't." And they did, and I was on it for all of 1 week, and it was a nightmare. The people that messaged me, I was like, in what world would I go? Like, they were like 80. They were all like, so I was like, this is what's out there.
It's so bad. And then
Oh,
my
it's
dad's
brutal.
and like my family doesn't understand. They're like, oh, the date. And I was like, there's nobody out there. And they like all think it's me, but it's not.
Well, if they're listening, they need to know it is not you.
It's not.
It's not. I'm telling you, it is rough out there. Or like, and then you would find a guy, I'd be like, oh, he's cute. And then he'd like message you something so weird. And you're like, what? And I think I talked to one, oh, this is my favorite. Yeah, actually, I talked to one guy,
Mhm.
like just over texting, you know what I mean? Over the thing. And he was like a really handsome, like French dude, right? And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, like maybe, right? And he asked me what I did. And I was like, I said, I'm an actor. And I had just finished a show and I was about to go do a show, but I had 2 months off in between. And he was like, so are you working right now? And I was like, I'm not, I just finished a show and I'm going to do a show in 2 months. And he was like, so you're not working for the next 2 months? And I was like, very incredulously. And I was like, no, I have a gig in 2 months. So this is like my little break. And he was like, and then there was like the bubble thingy, you know, and then it went away, and I never heard from him again. So he thought like I was like, I got ghosted, and I think so I was like, well, I probably make more money than you do in an entire, like, you suck. Don't make me feel bad because I have 2 weeks off, like 2 months off. Like,
Yeah.
ghost me because you think I'm some lazy actor or something. It's like, what a jerk.
Oh my God. I had this guy who I was like, what type of music are you into? Didn't hear from him. And then however long later, like weeks later, he sends me a YouTube link to like a video from like some like a Terminator film or something. And I go, what's this YouTube link? LOL, or I don't get it. I don't remember what he said. And he like flipped out at me because I didn't understand what the YouTube link was.
People are crazy.
Yeah. I will say that I went on a date back in February. Super nice guy. Easy. Like I always say, like, I just want like nice, easy conversation. Very nice. But like some red flags. First of all, what he was wearing. And I had some people are like, oh, don't let that, like, don't judge that. It's like, but if you're going on a date with someone, you don't wear like ill-fitting jeans, a blue windbreaker, and like white everyday sneakers on a date, even though if it's during the day. Like if you're gonna wear like sneakers, at least like wear like a fashionable sneaker or like better fitting jeans and not a blue windbreaker.
Were you guys wearing masks? So did you
Yes,
have to like,
of
put it
course.
down to be like, this is what I look like, and then put it back?
No. It was in February, and we went to the Met, which I was very happy about because that's my favorite museum. And I figured like if this date is going very badly, I know the Met like the back of my hand, so I know exactly where to like run to and hide if I need to.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I also know like where the bathrooms are. Like, yeah, I've taken people to the Met, and I'm like, I got you, don't worry. And we've just done like the Allison version of the Met.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So wait, what happened to him? So you just you judged his outfit, so you were like, no go?
Well, I mean, it was very nice and everything. Like I wasn't there, there wasn't like anything, I wasn't like, there were no sparks for me where I'd be like, I'm gonna date you again and like make out with you. And so then I ended up walking him to the train because I'm like, I have nothing else to do. Like, I'll walk with you. So we walked through the park, and then, you know, I like walked him to a train, and then he's like, do you want a hug? I was like, no, because it was still like the midst of the pandemic. Yeah. So I'm not going to like touch somebody. And then like, we just kind of like faded out on the dating app, you know?
Yeah.
But at least I went on a date.
I'm proud of you. That's more than like my best friend.
Yeah.
I just so you know, I wasn't being rude. I was following the podcast on Instagram.
Oh, thank you.
While I had it fresh in my mind, because I'm very bad at Instagram.
It's all good. Thank you for the follow.
You're welcome, because that's a thing now, right? Like,
yeah.
Isn't that so weird? Isn't this a weird world we live in now, where like social media like is a thing?
Yeah, I have a private Instagram account. So I like, I'm baller. I have like my podcast. I also help out with the reading series, which we're kind of like, I don't know if we're known now, but hopefully I feel like it's dying down though, because like theater's opening back up and it's summer and whatever. But yeah, I help out with that, but I do have like my own private personal one. So
good for you. I have a very, very hard time finding the humility in it.
Yeah.
I just like.
Well, let's talk about that. So as a theater professional,
mm-hmm.
do you think it's important to keep up with the whole Instagram, social media thing?
Unfortunately, yes. I'm not good at it. I'm not thriving. And I see some of my contemporaries that do know how to do it are very business minded and business savvy. And you can see how their Instagram presence has contributed into their career, you know, and you know, because unfortunately it's like our business is like, if you're out of sight, you're out of mind, right? So if you have a constant presence in the press and people are talking about you and there's a buzz about you, when all of a sudden something comes to mind and a director's like, oh, I have this, I might be perfect for it, right? But if somebody else was just talking about somebody else because of an Instagram thing or whatever, then you're going to think of them, right?
Yeah.
And so, which is awesome for them. And then for you, it's like, I wish that is where my frustration lies. And I also feel like I have a hard time with the balance of how do you stay present and true with the people that you're actually talking to and having genuine connections with human beings and not having to record it,
Yeah.
So I find it extremely difficult for
Maybe
me.
you should try and do like one of those ask me a question things on your Instagram story.
I should do that.
Yeah, maybe because like that might help with like what you want to put out there and like what
Right.
you're willing to do and kind of take like baby steps in that way.
Yeah, that's really smart. But I feel like I do see how it is used as a very useful tool. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just free advertising. So it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's great in that way, but I also feel that it is honestly a little bit of a creativity killer in a way.
Yeah.
There's this amazing TED talk that oh my god, I love him. Oh god, I can't believe it. He was Robin in the Batman's. I can't believe I'm forgetting. He's so cute. I'm like,
Colin, oh my God, what's his face?
everybody
No.
listening to it and being like, oh my god, it's blah blah blah.
Wait, in the movies? Oh, Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Thank you. Yes. I love him.
Love a Joseph
Oh
Gordon-Levitt.
my god, I love him
mean,
so much. I just think, and as they're like, do you didn't even remember his name? But I get like verklempt when I think about people's names.
listen, it's fine. We all have the verklempt brain moments.
You know what I mean? It's just so hard that you have to listen to his TED talk on social media. It really honestly was so awesome. He was talking about how it's like now when he gets a script, rather than like diving into like the story and his character, he's like, now I have to think, okay, like what is going to be Instagrammable, and like, oh god, this person's attached to it, they have more followers than me, and like how's that going to affect my deal and their, you know what I mean? Like he's like, and then I'm thinking, oh god, what if I don't have enough to bring to like, he's like, and so my creativity is getting killed because I'm thinking about how am I going to use this for social media because I have to be still relevant, right? Rather than like working on my craft and the creativity of like why I got into this business in the first place, which is to tell stories, right? Like,
it's interesting. So I don't know if you know who David A. Gregory is. I had him on, I was like, wait, I'm the one person who has this podcast. He did 2 readings he did Next Fall with us and Sex with Strangers. And we actually had this conversation about social media. And he was saying how like it's more important to him to do creative stuff than like, post or create some sort of like content on social media.
yeah.
So like he'll post once in a blue and he goes, he's not really into the social, but to him, it's more important to stay creative than it is to post on social. So I think it really depends on the person.
Oh, it absolutely does. But I also know, because I now know the flip side of things, is that sadly, if it's between you and another girl has 150,000 followers and you have 10,000 followers, and the creative team is like, I love them both, they might look and go, okay, well, this one, if 10% of her following comes in, that's 10% of ticket sales compared to the 10% of this other girl's ticket sales. So it might, so there is like a necessary evil to it, even if you want to, even like, so sadly, like you do have to play the game, like even if I were to be like, yeah, screw it, I'm just going to be a creative and like, I'm just going to do what I love and what I got into this business for. I can't be mad then when I don't book something over somebody else who has more of a following than me, because that is now the world that we live in. And I am educated enough to know that I needed to play the game, because in essence, this is a business, right? So you can't be mad at a producer. I mean, like if you're producing a play and you had me and somebody else who had millions of followers, even if you liked me better, you know that you're going to sell more tickets with that person who's a YouTube star or TikTok star with 1 million followers. It's a money business, right? So the same thing with Broadway, putting movie stars on, on Broadway. It's like, it's immediate guaranteed ticket sales.
I'm okay with stunt casting if like the person they put in is good.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, because sometimes not so much.
Sometimes that's what, you know what? I'm going to get off topic and really talk about something that ticks me off. Here we go. Why is it that when a movie star actor like Renee Zellweger plays, Judy Garland, and it's like, oh my God, she's so brave singing in the you know what I mean? That's so amazing, right? Yet there are a million women out there that are actor singers that could have played the roles that are actually singers. But if you are a musical theater actor, then you are seen, if you are an actor who can sing, you are seen as less of an actor than somebody who is an actor first, right? And that's it. That baffles my mind. It baffles my mind.
So with the Reasons trilogy, Kober and Jess Fosk, like working with them honestly backstage, some of the most fun I've ever had. I think like the discussion came up where, because Jess like has never really been asked to do a play before. And I think Kober said like, once you do a musical,
you're not an actor.
They only see you for musicals. They don't really like see you like doing plays.
I went to school for straight acting, and the second I did a musical, I never did it. Like getting seen for plays is so hard for me. And I'm like, are you kidding? This is what I went to school. I didn't go to school for musical theater. I took my first voice lesson until I was 31. Like, but
a lot of the readings that we've done, a majority of the people that we've done readings with are musical theater people. And there was an actor who like because I always write thank you emails to everybody who's like done a reading after we do the reading. I know I sent you one. And he wrote me back and he goes, thank you so much for having me. He's like, you're helping me live my dream of like breaking into doing straight plays. I was like, that's like the fucking sweetest thing. And he was also in a really good fucking reading with a really good cast.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a frustrating thing, the double standard. It's just like, it's so confusing to me. It's like, you can get glorified if you're an actor. Like, I'm sure all the people that are in, like Amy Adams gets glorified because she can like somewhat sing, right? You know what I mean? Because she's this incredible actor. But then if you have somebody who is a musical theater actor, it's like, oh, but shame on you for having a good voice, because that means you're not a good actor.
Yeah. Well, I think like very rarely you can break through with that. Like Cynthia Erivo has broken through.
Totally, as she should.
Yes.
Genius.
Like all I could say is yes to that. And like I'm just trying to think not many. Trying to think of like people who like Anna Kendrick was like nominated for a Tony at 12 for a musical, but that's
oh, she's great. She's super talented. I mean, there are people that like, Brian Darcy James now does a lot of TV and film because he's flipping genius. But it's like, I'm sure it was harder. I mean, I don't know because I don't know but like, I'm sure it was harder for him than it should have been, just because he has a musical theater background, right? Like, it's like you have to like prove yourself that much more to be, they're like, oh, wait, no, you actually can act. And it's like, yeah. Right. It's so interesting to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big time producer. I'm just a theater fan who is very good at casting people. So
there you go.
Well, no, I'm telling you, with like Dinner with Friends, like when we were trying to cast Beth, like my co-producer was like, this person. I was like, what about Jackie Burns? I emailed this person. They can't do it. Okay, great. Can we get Jackie Burns now? Oh, I emailed this person. I'm like, okay, great. They can't do it. Can we get Jackie Burns now?
So you're saying I was a third choice?
No, you were like the top of my list, but my like co-producer was just like, oh, I tried this person. I'm like, but Jackie Burns. Like kept pushing for you.
Co-producer, and can I write him or her a nasty email that they
I bring up this story all the time to him.
Did he watch it? Did he like it?
Yeah.
Good.
I'm glad. I think honestly, like if I was given like millions of dollars to like produce and direct any of the readings, there's 3 readings that I would like put on stage. And one of them is Dinner with Friends.
I do love that show. It's so good.
Yeah, it was a great, and it was a fun Q&A too.
Everything was so fun.
Yeah.
Just like as she thoughtfully drinks from her hot priest.
No, I was just thinking of like Ben Davis being like, I'm the greatest.
I didn't know Ben Davis before this, right? And now following him on Instagram, his Instagram makes me laugh so much. I'm like, he must be the most independently wealthy human being in the entire world, because every day he is having like a Michelin star dinner and wine. And I'm like, who is this person?
Yeah.
And how can I subscribe to your life? Because I'm ready to have like gourmet meals and dinners and wine.
You know what? I think we should like send him an email and be like, Ben, Jackie and I want to come over to your garden.
Yeah,
and like
to your garden in New York.
Your garden in New York that you're always posting. Like we can see the One World Trade. And like we want you to feed us like Michelin star food and wine.
Yeah, and I think that's fine.
I agree.
All right, we'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to have me or Aaron over, but he'll have the other group over, like you, Chad, and Katrina, and oh my God, Kanita. Wow,
It's COVID brain.
it's also like I work today. Today went by like really quickly too, and it wasn't like super crazy at work. It was just like, oh, the day is over.
That's good. That's the
Yeah,
best.
yeah. Tomorrow will be busier, but it's fine. Anyway, so like back to you, Jackie Burns.
Oh, please, yes, thank
Yes. Yes. Where would you say your love of theater started? Started. That's right.
I honestly, watching Shirley Temple movies was where I like got the bug of like musical theater, like just knew I wanted to perform.
Can you tap dance like Shirley
Yeah,
Temple,
I was a really good I actually was a dancer first. So I started dancing when I was 3, and I danced all through
you were dancing through life?
I was dancing through life from 3 to 17 until I went
like wicked things I can get into this podcast.
I like it so much. Wicked. Yeah, I used to do like the dance competitions. I didn't actually really do a lot of theater until I went to college. And then I stopped dancing because where I went to school didn't have a dance department, but I did join their kick line.
Hey.
For fun my freshman year, and I got to like, that was really fun. Kick line was fun. Get to party with all like the cute frat boys. It was fun.
There was like a step team when I was in college. And then I like said to somebody like in my dorm room freshman year, I'm like, isn't it this? And I just started like randomly slapping my body.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my God, that's it. You should join. I'm like, I just randomly started slapping parts of my body. Like,
you were a natural. I was not cool. We were not, and I was not on the step team. I was on the kick line team, which was much less dorky, but I lived my best life freshman year.
Wait, did you? Oh, so like with the Shirley, did you go to college knowing that you wanted to pursue theater?
Yes, I knew that I wanted to. Yeah, I've always wanted to be on Broadway. You know, my whole life. That was the goal.
So you went to. I totally have your Wikipedia page up.
I went to UConn.
Yeah, because I'm like I did my research by like one. So the Connecticut Repertory Theater, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
No, wait, that's where you went, perform regional.
No, I went to UConn, University of Connecticut.
Thank you, because clearly I'm looking at the wrong thing.
No, but that's the theater there is CRT, Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
Which was where I would do my shows.
So what made you decide to go to UOC?
What made me decide to go was my parents said, hey, when you graduate, you're an actor, you're not guaranteed a job. So you can graduate basically debt-free and go to UConn because I got a big scholarship and it was in-state, or you can go to Bus Conservatory where it's like $60,000 a year and you'll have a butt ton of student debt. It's up to you. You decide.
And there you go.
Okay. And I was like, I do not want to graduate with $300,000 worth of debt or $200,000 worth of debt because I am going to be an actor and who knows, maybe I'll work, maybe I won't. I hope I will, right? You know, like there is no guarantee. It's not like you're graduating, you're like going into a residency or, you know what I mean? It's like, you kind of, hopefully you'll work. That's what we hope. So that's why I went to UConn. So it was harder in the fact that like, I didn't have a showcase. So when I graduated, I was kind of behind everybody else graduating from like those bigger schools, you know, the NYU's, Boston Victoria's, Cincinnati, CCMs, because, you know, they graduate and they have their manager and agent and casting directors have seen them and I didn't. So I like, you know, had to get up and go, you know, sit in line and hopefully get seen. And So it definitely was a harder track, but I also I didn't have a butt ton of debt. So it was great.
Yeah. Did you have to audition for their theater program?
Oh yeah, they actually have a really good acting department. And it was tough in the fact that they make you re-audition at the end of your freshman year. So my class went from, I think it was like 18 of us freshman year, and at the end there was only 8 of us. Like
Oh, wow.
they're like cutthroat. They're really but it wasn't musical theater, it was just straight acting.
Yeah.
So that's why I found it so funny when I got out and I was like, once you do one musical, it's like, oh, you're not a real actor. And it's like, are you kidding? I spent 4 years with absurdist theater and Shakespeare.
Do you remember what you auditioned with?
I auditioned with yes, I do. Well, kind of. Oh God, I can't remember the comedy monologue. It was really funny, but my Shakespeare monologue was from it was Catherine from Henry the Fifth. I want to say.
Yeah, I don't remember, but one of the Henry.
Like you basically like right before he's like gonna behead her, and she's like, really? Like you're gonna do this? I've done like I've given you, but yeah. I mean, that was 20 years ago.
I think I did a Catherine monologue. There are so many Catherines. I think I did something where she's like pleading with Henry, like not to divorce her.
Yes, that's one. To have
that must be Henry VIII then.
Maybe it's Henry VIII.
Catherine of Aragon.
Yeah, where she's like, oh God, I can't remember.
I have a Shakespeare textbook, but I'm not going to pull that out. I have candles on it. You see where like all those candles are right there?
Yeah.
That's my Shakespeare textbook from college.
Oh my God. If you find the monologue, will you please take a picture? And I'll be like, yes, that's probably it. It was such a good monologue.
Yeah. I did a Shakespeare class in college, and the first monologue I did was Rosalind from As You Like It, because the Kenneth Branagh version that they did for HBO with, oh my God, Bryce Howard, like I was obsessed with. So I was like, I must do Rosalind. And my teacher was like, are you like a performance whore with this monologue? And then the next one was like Catherine of something, where she's like, oh, I did all of these things for you when you're like, you know, being sad over this person. I can't remember what it is. Like Gloucester's tomb is a line from it. That's all I remember. Is all thy comfort stuck in Gloucester's tomb.
Do you think people that are listening are like, these people are idiots? I know it. And they're like going through the monologue right now. They're like, dumbass.
The people who are listening are fans of yours from Wicked.
And they're like, this is stupid. We don't care.
Or just like my old roommate. Hey, Mai. And yeah. But no, it's funny because I actually auditioned for musical theater and I didn't get into that department, but I know I can carry a tune. And it, you know, honestly, I think that's fine. That I didn't get in. I took an acting for the musical stage class, and that's where I actually found out what my vocal range was, because I didn't know up until like my junior year of college.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm a mezzo soprano belt mixed belt because I wanted to know.
I did. I was like, so what? I thought I was waiting for you to tell me.
Yeah. I can like, depending on like my vocal prowess, I can hit some like really good soprano in the shower.
Yes. Okay. Well, the higher you sing soprano, the higher you belt.
Yeah. I can't, you know, depending on the day, I can pull out a Defying Gravity.
Yeah.
Shower, or like a Last 5 Years.
Oh God, Last 5 years. I was so obsessed with Cher. I still am. I think Cher Renee Scott can do no wrong in my mind, but I love her voice. She is one of my favorite voices ever. I love that her voice sounds like so high, even when she like is not singing that high of a note, like it still sounds so bright and like exciting. Her voice is always so exciting in my mind. Like I'm just always so exhilarated when I listen to her. I just love her voice.
I'm just like picturing her singing. If you go on YouTube, there's a video of her doing Goodbye Till Tomorrow, but she's like, this is the version I want to do, and hit it goodbye to, and she's like, I open myself one stitch at a time, and that hurts. So she does like ad libs in the song. It's really funny.
It's so funny. I'm like, really am such like, she's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Her and Bernadette Peters, those are like my lady crushes.
Yeah. So were they always your lady crushes, like back in the day?
Yeah, Bernadette Peters was always like a huge, I just think she's amazing. And it's hilarious because the night before I made my debut in Wicked on Broadway the first time many moons ago. I was out.
My window is open and I'm on. Don't you miss New York? Just imagine you're on Broadway right now listening to this.
And I do miss New York. I miss life. I miss life.
Well, again, we'll email Ben Davis and we'll be like, listen, we're coming over.
Can we just like stay over your house?
We'll just like stay in your apartment. We'll just like, we'll camp out on your deck.
Yeah, it'll be fine. We're just gonna like get a tan. You can like,
yeah, it'll be great.
Food and wine.
Exactly.
We'll water your plant every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like feed us and we'll like feed your plants water.
Yeah. Here.
But so you were saying like before you debuted in Wicked.
Oh, the night before I had my Broadway debut in Wicked, I was at the movies on at the Lincoln Center movies on and I came out of the bathroom and who am I washing my hands next to but Bernadette Peters, and I was like, this is a sign. I totally made a fool out of myself. And I was like, hi, I'm a huge fan of yours. And my Glinda at the time was Chandra Schwartz, who had done Gypsy with her on Broadway. So like, I was like, my name's Jackie. I'm about to take over Elphaba on Broadway and Wicked. And my Glinda is Chandra Schwartz, who did Goodspeed with you. I mean, Gypsy with you.
Yeah.
And I'm just a huge fan. And this is just like, this couldn't be a better like omen to like get to see you, you know, before I do take over this like dream role. And she literally looked at me, she's like, okay, that's nice. I mean, she couldn't have been any sweeter, but it was like, so like, it was so big it was hilarious. It was so big for me and for her. She was just like, okay.
Yeah.
It was so funny. And I was like, I'm an idiot.
For me, I'm just like, oh, it's not as big for you. Okay. And then I would just like walk away being like, she doesn't like me. And then that would just like torment me for the rest of my days.
No, I am not upset. I was like, you're an idiot. Why did you say anything? Stupid.
But you know what? Clearly she blessed your run in Wicked because you've done more performances of Wicked than, you know, the wizard's face.
I know.
Mechanical wizard face.
Mechanical wizard face.
You know, none shall pass or whatever.
Yeah, none shall pass.
No, wait, that's the wrong thing.
I honestly could not tell you. I don't remember.
Yeah. So after you graduate college, what then? What happens? Do you move to New York? Do you start auditioning?
Did I move to New York? I've told this story if you did. Because I went to school not for musical theater. Musical theater can be a whole different beast, especially musical theater women, right? You know what I mean? Like it can be a whole different energy that I wasn't used to, and especially being in like a holding room. My first audition was at Chelsea Studios for a non-act call for something, I don't remember what, but it was literally, I was being in a Jason Robert Brown where it's like everyone's wearing the same thing and belting as high as they can and like, you know, talking. I got so overwhelmed. Everyone's wearing the same dress with their books, and that was another thing, because I didn't go to school for musical theater. Like I had one song, right? You know, it's like I didn't have a book. I had a million monologues, but I didn't have any songs. And like they huge like encyclopedias, like what are you gonna sing? And I'm like, oh my God, it's so overwhelmed. I had a panic attack. I left. I did an audition for 2 years. I just waitressed and hung out with my friends, and I didn't really like New York either. Like it was very overwhelming to me. I did not like New York at all when I first moved there. Because I'm from like the woods and I really like nature. So my best friend who's not an actor, was my best friend in college. We lived together all 4 years in college, and we moved to the city together. After 2 years came home with a backstage. I didn't even know she knew what that was. And was like, you have to go to this audition today or you can't come out with all of us tonight. And I was like, oh, no. So, and that audition was Tokyo Disney. So I went to the audition so that I could go out with my friends that night. And I booked it, which was great. So that was my first job, was Tokyo Disney in Japan. And I was like 23. And then I fell in love with this Australian guy and called my best friend from Japan, and who was living in New York, still in our apartment, and said, I think we should move to Australia. And this is why she's my best friend. She's the coolest person ever. And she was like, okay, yeah, let's go. So we moved to Australia. and like stayed there for a year, and then got kicked out. And then because our visas ran out, because they're tough on Americans. Like once your visa's done, they're like, bye. So then we had to go back, and then I still hated New York. So I went and did a cruise ship. And then 4 months into my cruise ship contract, at 4 out of the 9 months, I was like, what am I doing with my life? I'm like step touching on a rocking cruise ship to old people falling asleep, like literally just a sea of like, people mouths agape sleeping. And I was like, I need to take myself seriously. So I quit the cruise ship and I moved back to New York, and I immediately got my equity card and got hair.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's there you go. That's
Were you in, yeah. Did you do hair in the park?
Yep. Yeah. And then while I was doing hair in the park, all the girls in my dressing room were auditioning for this new show called Rock of Ages. And so I kept calling my agents and being like, everybody's going in for this show and I want to go in for it. And they're like, yeah. And they couldn't get me in because they were a smaller agency. And finally, after everybody and their moms had gotten seen for the show, I finally got an audition, and there was only one role left of this for a swing cover, who covered all the dancers. And I hadn't danced in like 10 years, right? But I had a kick-ass vocal audition and good acting audition, but my dance audition, I mean, it was embarrassing. Like I was going that way where everyone else was going the other way. It's just one of those like classic, like it was embarrassing. And I was like, no way am I going to get this. But then I did, which was great. So it was fun because Will Swenson was in it as well in the off-Broadway run, and he was, in hair. So the two of us would rehearse Rock of Ages during the day and then do the show, do hair at night. And then hair and Rock of Ages went to Broadway the same season. So I went from 0 Broadway shows to 2 Broadway offers in 1 week, right? Because of course, where were they when I was waitressing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what made you decide hair over Rock of Ages?
Rock of Ages, I was a swing. So I was in the show, and I had a panic attack every night going on for these like fierce dancer girls. And it was so stressful for me. I do not have swing brain. Swing brain is like, you're a genius. You're just basically like, you're like you're like a brain surgeon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're just, the stress of it, like the swings that like some of my friends that swing, they love it because then they never get bored. Like they're constantly always doing different tracks, right? I'm the opposite. I'm like, give me one thing to focus on. Yeah. Like that's what I want to focus on.
Yeah. I have a friend who's a dresser on Broadway. When she first started, she was a swing dresser. So I just remember having like all of these index cards of like everything she needed to do. It's crazy.
Yeah. That's what I would literally in Rock of Ages, like I had my Bible of like each track, and I would be running off stage to my, thing, being like, okay, next thing I change here. Okay, I go out stage left. Okay, great. And I walk in between Chad and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like it was, oh God, every time I go on, it was like a mini heart attack. I was like, I can't handle this anymore.
So let's talk hair. So I wanted to ask you this, but I wanted to wait until we got to hair. So your hair said it doesn't grow longer than your shoulders. Did they like straighten it or put extensions in to make it longer?
Yeah. So they used to pay for my hair to be chemically straightened because I used to have, so when I went to Japan, I got Japanese relaxer. I got my hair Japanese straightened. So my hair was straight. Yeah. So when I auditioned, my hair was straight, and they liked that. They wanted me to be like that. My track was like the sexy, like cool parted down the middle straight hair.
I saw hair many times.
Yeah.
I saw the original cast. I even told Kober, like one of my memorable experiences when you guys would enter from the outside on Orchestra Right. One of my best friends now, she and I saw the show. We did standing room, and then like Will Swenson put his arms around us and he's like, "What's up, ladies?" And I was like, "Better know that you're here," or something like that.
Yeah, he's especially in that costume, he's very handsome.
Yes.
Kober and I spent most of our show together. Kober had a big old crush on me. Opening night in the park, he went up to my parents, my dad, and was like, "Would you just tell her to go out with me already? I've been asking her for like Cobra was the cutest. I love Cobra.
I should email him and be like, so I heard you have a crush on Jackie Burns back in the day.
He would have been like, yeah, that was like also 20 years ago.
He probably would say that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, Cobra. Cobra was my buddy.
He's a good actor too, and he was one of the people like going.
Great actor.
That's why I was very excited to do Reasons with him, because I remember, like, I don't mean to like name drop, but like talking to Andrew Barth Feldman about him, and I was saying how like I'm really excited about Cobra doing the Reasons shows, because the character, I feel like he's like never really played before that type of character, so I was excited for him to do it, and he was great.
Yeah, he's super talented.
Yeah,
super talented, and such a nice human being.
Yeah. Super nice.
Yeah.
Who else can we talk about? Let's like just keep name dropping on this podcast. Yeah. So, and I also like specifically remember your costume. I remember costumes very well for hair too. I loved hair. I saw it many times on Broadway. Many times.
Well, just so you know, my costume was very controversial. My costume was the only costume that changed from the park to Broadway. Everybody else has stayed the same. They had to add more. My original costume, I was the midriff girl, right? So I had my costume in the park. My little midriff top was like basically right under my boobs, and that was it. And then there's no other material. And Oscar Eustage, and who's the public, and Diane, the director, they went back and forth and decided that it was too distracting and too sexy, and that the costumer had to add an extra 2 inches to my shirt so that I was less distracting. Which I thought was hilarious, that I was like, really? You guys are like talking about my costume? I was like, okay. It's really funny.
Did it make you feel like important? Like, oh my God, thanks guys.
I was like, yes. I mean, I did get asked out on a lot of dates because of that costume. I met my husband at the time, my ex-husband, from that costume. It was great too, because I was going through a really bad breakup and this guy had cheated on me. And so I was feeling very hideous and sad. So like all of a sudden having this.
You just got like, look at what you're cheating on.
Yeah, I was like, sweet. So having this sexy costume, and like every day one of my castmates would be like, oh, my friend was at a show and was like, who's that girl? And I was like, oh my God, really? Because of course I was feeling hideous since I had just been cheated on and felt, sad about myself. So it was a nice time. That costume was a gift. But yes, I was the only one who had their costume changed from off-Broadway to Broadway.
Well, only by 2 inches of fabric. So it wasn't like.
But it was like a pretty significant different, it was a totally different, like it wasn't as low cut. And like if you saw the original one, you'd be like, oh, it was basically like I was wearing a bra with sleeves the first time. And then the next time was much more.
Sorry, New York, window open.
Yeah.
Well, I know you're in nature. I'm in an urban jungle.
I love it.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you also went to London with hair, right?
No,
you didn't go to London?
I got Wicked.
So when you were in hair, did you audition for Wicked, I'm assuming?
No, I wasn't going to go anyways. Because I had just moved in with my husband at the time. And then it was a little controversial. I was actually supposed to take over Sheila on Broadway, and then they ended up wanting to go the American Idol route for ticket sales, understandably so. So I gave my notice and left the show and went and did Paper Mill, a show at Paper Mill, Smokey Joe's. And while I was doing Smokey Joe's, I auditioned for Wicked and got Wicked.
And you went on for Sheila a couple of times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. That's it. I feel like there's somewhere in the world a Jackie Burns photo or bootleg of you of Sheila somewhere that has to exist, because I feel like I've seen it, or I can just like envision it somehow.
But the funny thing is, I was the first person to go on. We were still in previews, and we hadn't had understudy rehearsals yet. That seems to always happen to me, actually. The 2 times that I've understudied, I've gone on before I've had rehearsal. So yeah, we were in previews and they called me at like 8 a.m. and they're like, hey, you're on tonight. And I was like, but I'm not ready. And they're like, no, it's okay. You're going to come in and Tomar, the dance captain's going to like show you. And I was like, no, it's not about that. My track didn't get naked in the show. So everyone else had like grown out their nether regions hair. And I didn't because I didn't get naked in the show. So I was
Wasn't that also your choice, whether or not you wanted to get naked?
yes and no.
Got
My Diane, it's another funny story with hair. Hair was hard for me. Diane told me to not get naked and run off stage. So I only got naked when I went out and for Sheila. But so since I didn't get naked in the show, normally I wasn't ready. And I was like, I need a merkin. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to go full clam on Broadway. So I hid behind Hud's afro. He was kneeling, so I stood right behind him and like kind of
perfect.
Oh, Darius, he was the best. I was like, I'm gonna hide behind you. And then I ran off stage and they didn't have because I don't normally get naked in my track. They handed out, what are they called? Bathrobes to everybody, the cast. So we're all, you're off stage and like everybody's getting their bathrobes, and I'm still naked. And the dresser's like, oh my God, we don't have a bathrobe for you because you don't normally get naked. And I was like, and they went and got me a hand towel that was literally like the size of it. It's a hand towel. And I had to go to my dressing room, like covering my bits with a hand towel. And that was.
When you understudy, I always get confused by this. When you understudy a role, do you go into that person's dressing room or do you stay? You do? Okay.
Yeah.
And they bring your costumes and your makeup and everything in there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, you bring your own makeup, but they put your costumes in there. Yeah.
I was always curious to know how that worked. So let's talk about Wicked. Did you audition for the Broadway company? Were you auditioning for the tour, specifically for Elphaba?
This is another funny, like I was auditioning.
Tell me all the funny things. I'm here for it.
Well, my agent finally told me I was a pain in the ass. So I did, if I was going to leave and go on tour or go somewhere, I would have gone to London, but I didn't want to leave. Right. So I didn't want to leave the city. So my agents called me while I was doing Paper Mill and they were like, hey, we have this audition for you for the understudy Elphaba on tour. And I was like, no, thank you. I don't want to go on tour. So then a week later they called me and they're like, we have an audition for you for the standby for Elphaba on the tour. And I was like, again, I don't want to go on tour. No. So I turned down that audition. A few days later, I get another call and they're like, okay, we have an audition for you for the role of Elphaba in the tour. And I was like, before I could even say no, he's like, and before you say no, he was like, you are my biggest pain in the ass right now. He was like, you're auditioning, end of story. I was like, okay. It was hilarious. So that was I auditioned for the tour and because I didn't really, and this is, God, I wish I still had this. I struggled to get this back because I didn't really want it because I didn't want to go on tour. It was like, of course I did great in the audition because there was no pressure. It's like, when we want something, it's like needy, right? And when you're like, nah, I'm okay.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like I keep saying like I can't wait till when everything opens up, because the best way to get a job is when you have a job. But all of us have been without a job for so long, so all these auditions are so much more high stake than they normally would be because we haven't worked in so long. And we're like, oh my God, yes. Where before, when you're auditioning and you have a job, it's like, well, if I don't get it, who cares? I have a job.
Yeah.
And I forgot. I also had Catch Me If You Can. I had auditioned for Catch Me If You Can, so I had booked that while I was at the end of Hair. And so I already had that show. So I felt like I was like, oh, okay. I had to go out of town a little bit where it was in Seattle or something. But then it was coming back, it was coming to Broadway. So I was like, all right, I have another Broadway show. I'll be back. This is great.
I didn't see Catch Me If You Can. But who did you play in that? Were you in the ensemble or you?
Yeah, I was I was one of the girls that was going to do the doctor's orders. There's like a special doctor's orders thing. But I remember I was so excited when I got it at the end of Hair because I was like, oh my God, I want to get this so bad. So I know it's not a fluke that I got a Broadway show. Yeah. So, yeah.
And you got to work with Norbert Leo Butz from the last.
No, I didn't.
Years.
I didn't do the show.
Oh,
So
because of Wicked. I'm so
yeah,
with it. Happy
yeah.
Wednesday.
So like when I
Yeah.
was auditioning for Wicked, I also like I didn't want to go on tour, and I also already had another Broadway show like with Catch Me If You Can. So I was like sitting pretty in the fact of like,
Mhm.
oh no, this is low stakes.
Yeah.
Now, because we've all been in a pandemic and haven't worked so long, it feels like I can't wait to go back to that place of like
Mhm.
not having auditions be such high stakes. Speaking of like, because I have to do an audition after this, right? So like, and I get like, oh God, I gotta do good, right?
Yeah. Well, isn't it always like, it's kind of, if you even go on like a job interview, like you go and you do your thing and then it's really up to the person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I understand the high stakes things too, because like when trying to find a job with like the pandemic, because and my parents at my ass, like, get a job, get a job. Like, I love how people think it's just so easy to get a job in the midst of the pandemic. It took
Yeah.
me like over a year to find, no, not over a year, but it took me many, 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 many months to find a job.
Yeah, I get it.
And I'm like, there are thousands of people probably applying for the same thing, so it's probably like the same thing coming up with, auditions and all of that stuff.
Just thousands and thousands of people auditioning for one role. I always find it so fascinating that any of us have ever worked, because there are so many talented people and there really aren't that many roles out there. You know what I mean? So it's just like,
Yeah.
it truly is the stars aligning every time you get a job. It's like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And the fact that I've been in the opposite, where I've like been behind the desk seeing people audition a few times, with where I've like helped with friends, casting stuff. And
Mhm.
I am always floored with how much talent there is. I'm like, Jesus, I
Yeah.
am so glad I don't have to make these decisions, because everyone's so talented,
Yeah.
not like, and then it comes down to like apples or oranges. They're both great,
Yeah.
so it's like,
Yeah. My friend works in HR and, we've talked about it before. And she goes, I had to tell you, I can interview like 5 fucking rock stars who are all awesome and great for the job and have experiences. But like, then you just had to pick one of them. And I don't remember what else she said, but like that basis of
yeah,
the
and
whole
that's what
rock
I mean.
star
It's
thing.
so hard,
Yeah.
and us as actors, because what we're doing is personal, we take it personally, of
Mhm.
like, oh, they didn't like me. And it's like, no, like, it's just like, it could have happened that like you just didn't fit the costume, or like they had
Mhm.
cast the guy before and he's like too short or too tall for you. So you know what I mean? Like there's so
Yeah.
many factors, or they like want a blonde and they just can't be creative enough to see you as a blonde, like
Yeah.
there's so
I
many.
know, like for me, when it comes to casting these readings, like I'll have input from like other people who are like, oh, this person might be good, but that person might be good. I was like, I don't see them in that role. So I think it also depends on like, who the person is at the time thinking about casting, because
Oh my
like,
God.
let's say like Donna goes in for like Elphaba and like Bob is casting her and he thinks Donna is great. And then she goes in again for Elphaba, but like Joan is casting her or something, I think it also depends on who's
Oh,
in charge of that.
yes, so much so.
Yeah.
And it's like, who are you friends with? Like I mean, like I've definitely gotten roles because I've known somebody that like I'd worked with before that liked me, and like, and it's like sometimes it works to your advantage, sometimes it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like there
Yeah.
are times where I've wanted a role and didn't get it because the director had worked with somebody before and just immediately like offered it directly. And it's like,
Yeah.
that sucked. I didn't even get a chance, right? But like,
Yeah.
and then sometimes you're that girl that just gets a show because you know somebody. And
I always, it for like me, it kind of always like stems back to like college when it comes to being like, you have to audition for me, even though I did ask you to audition for me, doesn't mean I'm going to give you the role. Because there was this one particular person who, like the epitome of like drama queen, would always tell me like, oh, I'm going to cast you in my show, you're pre-cast, like, and then he wouldn't cast me in it. And then I know,
rude.
horrible. But like the one time he said he would do it, he actually did it. And I was amazing in that part. Um, yeah, it was great. It was CB's sister and Dog Sees God. It was great. Um,
Amazing.
yeah, so but when I directed my senior year of college, I asked somebody to audition for me and I said, I want you to audition for me, but it does not mean I am casting you.
That's really great that you said that.
Yeah, because I've gone through it so much with like this one particular person. Like for me, it's just because I have you come in auditioning for me doesn't mean I'm going to cast you. I want to see if I think you're going to be right for it. Because
Yeah.
I like to think I'm very good at casting, and I need to see somebody do something before I officially decide whether or not to cast them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I just knew you would be great in Dinner with Friends.
Full circle.
Full circle moments. So you get Wicked, you go on tour. How long were you on tour for?
A year.
And then they brought you directly to Broadway?
Mm-hmm.
And then how long did you do it on Broadway for?
The first time, a year and 5 months.
Nice. So what would you say like the biggest difference doing Wicked on tour compared to Wicked on Broadway is?
Well, I mean, just touring in Broadway in general is like the tour, since you're on tour, like the cast becomes your like family, cast, crew, you know what I mean? Everyone, like you guys are like a unit. Where on Broadway, you know, it's your home. So like you go home to your home, right? You know, and it's just like different in that respect. And like you can cook yourself dinner, and like on tour, sometimes it's like you're stuck in a hotel room, and but you get to see the country, which is amazing. And then sometimes you know, the orchestra doesn't travel with you, so like there's like the keys do and like the drummers do, but like, you know, usually like strings, you know, they're local hires, and sometimes they're flipping geniuses. Most of the time they're geniuses, but sometimes you know, you get somebody who's not so great. Like I remember when I was doing Wicked the first time, the end of Wizard and I, there's that whole trumpet solo like at the end where it's like da, 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 right when you're like da, da, right.
Yeah.
And the trumpet every night would always be like, you know, like it was like so bad. And I remember having a diva moment and going to music. I can't believe I said this. And so to music, I was like, if that horn player can't get his shit together, he can't play at my party anymore because this is a mess. You know what I mean? I was just like so annoyed because you're like working your ass off, and then it's like just so bad. That sometimes can get a little like, come on, but that very rarely happens. And also just the tour and the show are different because of the house sizes. So like your numbers are different, like where you finish, you know, each, like Wicked's very technical. It's like at the end of this number, you have to have your left foot on 5 and this, right? You know, so like you hit that spot. And so like on the tour, there are different numbers, there's different wings. I think there's less wings on tour or more wings. I can't remember one or the other. The towers, there's more towers on Broadway and less towers on tour. So that changes your blocking. So like certain little things like that change. And then the tour is not raked and Broadway is raked, the stage. So like that does really wreak havoc on your body. You know, just like little things like that.
How much has your skincare routine improved since doing Wicked? Are you still finding green in your ears?
I don't find green in my ear anymore, thank gosh. But I learned, like when I was doing Wicked the first time, my skin was not good, and I had got really bad acne because I was over exfoliating my skin because I wanted to get all the green out. So my skin was like so angry and raw. And it wasn't until Broadway, my makeup person, Craig, who's a genius, was like, "You're over cleansing your skin. Stop being so obsessive about your skin. Like just like wash it and that's it. Like you're overdoing it." And then which felt very counterintuitive. But it did. It like changed my skin. Like I was like, oh, I'm of the school of like more is more, not less is more, right? You know,
yeah, I have my younger sister, she's 14. She's like very into skincare and masks and moisture. Like she used my shower at my dad's house the other day, and she's like, I just moisturized my face. I was like, why did you just moisturize your face when you're about to take a shower and to like wash it off? And then she's like, I'm gonna wash my face now. I was like, why are you? She's like, I was in a mask all day. I was like, this is fine. Like, don't relax. She's like very about her skincare and is into masks, but I feel like
she won't have any wrinkles.
Oh no, I think she should be. She's also obsessed with Grey's Anatomy, so like she wants to become a surgeon. I personally think she should become a dermatologist and like create her own skincare line because she's so into that stuff, but who am I to say anything?
She could be the next J-Lo, who's
She
like
could.
50
She
years old without a wrinkle, just putting olive oil on her skin.
she has like this hair thing that I see advertisements for.
Who, J-Lo?
Yeah, that she's like partnering with. I think it's called her. I don't even know what the hell it's called.
I don't want to hear it because every single person in Hollywood wears hair extensions. Give me a break.
Yeah.
And nobody's hair real. Everybody adds a little extra bump for a little extra value.
Yeah. Remember the Bumpets back in the day?
Like, yeah, I love them. I used to put the fake ponytail hair in my hair. I used to love that. Remember the fake ponytail?
Yeah. I think I'm the only person like that's gone to like an event on my dad's side of the family that like hasn't put in a hair extension.
Oh my God. I rock hair extensions all the time. Any audition, I will throw in some hair extensions.
I wouldn't even like know how to like do any of it. I'm not like this is the most fancy I get with my hair. Messy bun.
I like it. Look
Thank
at
you.
I'm giving you nothing. No, but hair extensions, I was very scared of them at first too, but they are actually much easier than you think. You just like literally like clip it in, put it over, and then it's like, oh good, I have a little more length and I have like a little bit more volume. And you're gonna kick my butt, but I have to go in 5 minutes.
All right, that's totally fine. So why don't
Can
we
you see it's already been almost an hour and a half?
Listen, it goes very quickly. So we've done the most important thing, which is Wicked. And then let's just talk quickly about If Then, and then we'll go into the other things really quickly. How did If Then come about?
I had just finished Wicked on Broadway, and the producer, David Stone, texted me and said, hey, I think you'd be really right for this role. I want you to, stand by for Adina and da-da-da-da-da. Would you come in and audition? And I was like, and I actually was a little, I again was like, is that the right career move? Like it just finished like starring on Broadway. It's like, should I then go stand by? And they were like, you're standing by for the biggest star on Broadway. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and also, that show is going to be a great role because they wrote it for Adina and like, it's going to be like a powerhouse kick-ass role.
Huge 11 o'clock number in the second act.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'll audition. And so I auditioned and
and then the rest is If Then history.
What'd you say?
Did the tour, did all the things, did Wicked again.
Then I went back to, and then they called me back to Wicked.
Mm-hmm. Would you go back to Wicked again if they called you?
No, they did call me to go back to Wicked after I did it in LA. And I said no.
You're retiring from Wicked officially.
I had in my, it's a hard thing to say goodbye to. And I had my last show, and I didn't want to have another last show.
Yeah.
Because it's hard.
Again, I've told you this before, favorite Elphaba I've ever seen.
Thank you.
Your farewell group was good. And then you had like my teen boyfriend, Ashley Parker Angel.
Who is just the cutest, sweetest. I wish I could, no, I can't, but like, you should see our texts are hilarious. Like,
just be like, I met this crazy person who I did their podcast. She celebrated your birthday on our campus. Totally happened.
He is honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. He is one of the funniest people you will ever meet. Yeah. You would never, it's like, he should not be that funny. You can't be that good looking and that funny.
Yeah. One of my best friends, when I got my job, bought me an Ashley Parker Angel cameo.
Oh my God, was it hilarious?
It was just great. And he sang Liquid Dreams for me. He sang All or Nothing.
Yes!
It was every O-Town fan's dream to have that done, and it was.
That is amazing. That's a true friend.
Yeah, no, she's one of my besties.
Yeah, she's a good friend.
Yeah, I always get her Drew Gayling. I feel like that's like our.
God, that's hilarious. He's good too. He's making.
Oh, his videos are hilarious.
He's funny.
Yeah. Speaking of dreams, Jackie Burns. What are your dream roles?
So it's something that's written for me. I something that I can create that is 120% mine. That, like you move to stage left on this part because you've decided, not because somebody else has done it and you're moving in and now you have to justify it for yourself because that's where that light cue has been created, right?
Yeah.
So and that songs are in the key that are written for you and your voice, and having input on how the arc of the character is. And that's my dream, is to be in the ground floor building roles from ground up. So yeah, my dream role was Elphaba when I was younger, and now it's for me to be able to create my own roles.
Yeah, I feel like that could happen.
Thank you.
I feel like you know enough people and you can be like, hey, let's do a musical.
Yeah.
That's the idea. Let's make it happen.
Well, so I right before the pandemic, I was about to create my own role.
Yes, you were gonna do Walk on the Moon, right?
Yeah. So, and it's still happening in March.
Okay, good. I was gonna ask you and I forgot, and thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, so that'll be very exciting. And
Still with Jonah Platt?
Yeah, I was actually literally just texting Jonah today because because we're recording some stuff.
Yeah, it's so funny because what he did, oh my God, what is it called? The Shape of Things?
The first one.
Yeah, The Shape of Things. And my mom was like, turn on the TV, Jonah Platt and Ben Platt are on. So like my mom was like obsessed with that fact. And when I emailed everybody for like the holidays, I was like, happy holiday. He was the first one to write me back. Just like the sweetest, loveliest guy.
He's so nice. And he's actually crazy talented.
Yeah. Tell him I say hi if he remembers me.
I will.
And tell Ashley again, like this person you don't know.
I will. I'll tell. He's the cutest.
And be like, great, what's her number? I'll give her like a free workout session. I can't afford him. I'll totally do it, but like he charges way too much.
What does he charge? I don't even know.
I don't even know. Something I can't afford. If it's more than $100, I'm like, I'm not doing it. So what are your top going theater experiences that you've ever had? Aside from being in dinner with friends.
Besides it being in like things that I've seen or things that I've done?
Things that you've seen.
Okay, things that I've seen. I saw Wicked right when I graduated, like when I got Tokyo Disney, it was still in previews and I had never been out of the country. I had to get like my passport and stuff for it. My parents drove in so they could drive me to the airport in the morning. And I had a friend of a friend who was in the show who got us house seats to Wicked, so I was still in previews. And so we were like fourth row watching this show. Taye Diggs was in it at the time. I was sitting next to the guy. Remember that show Smallville?
Yes.
I sat next to the Superman guy.
Oh, wow. Tom Welling.
Yeah, he was so hot. I was like, oh my God, this is so great.
He's still very good looking.
So cute. I was like, what is happening? But seeing that show, like that was like a turning point. I was like, oh my God, I want to play this role someday. It was such a
I sometimes forget how much I love Wicked. And then the last time I saw it because Jessica Voss was leaving and I really wanted to see her in the show. And I just sat down and I was like, oh my God, it's so good. I got emotional.
Isn't it such a good show? And I remember, and at that point, like that was a really new, like for two girls to be the leads. And then for a woman to be singing like that and singing that many shows, like that was like, it was like a whole new level, right? It was like, holy crap. I remember watching Wizard and when it finished and I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, holy crap. And then Defying Gravity was like, I was crying. I was like, this is crazy. This is out of control.
How many no-fly shows did you have? Because I hear the funny stories about them.
I actually had the most of any girl on Broadway. My first stint on Broadway, there was some short circuiting in the fly computer, because what happens is like once you get like locked in, the computer's like, okay, she's okay to fly, and they let you fly. And I kept getting locked in, but for some reason short circuiting and it's saying I wasn't locked in even though I was locked in, so they couldn't fly me. So I had like 5 in a row, which really sucked. And then finally, like again, I had a moment where I was like, they've got to fix this. I can't keep having these no fly shows because you just sing like shit.
Yeah.
Because you're so like uncomfortable in the fact that like, at least if you're me and you have the extreme guilt that I do, I'm like, I've ruined Broadway for all of these people that spent thousands of dollars to come see Wicked and see this flying at the end. And I'm standing on stage singing and like, they can't get their money. Like, I just have this extreme guilt that I ruined because you know how expensive it is and how much anticipation and excitement. So like, I never sing supported or well because I'm so uncomfortable with the fact that I've let down 2,000 people, even though it's not my fault. But in my head, I'm like, I've ruined the Broadway experience. So that was annoying. I was like, you guys have to fix this or I'm gonna like have a nervous breakdown.
Anyway, getting back to your other theater going experiences.
So the other one, it's a random thing, is I wear contacts and glasses and I'm so blind. Like I'm nearsighted, can't see far away, and my far away is like here.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah, cannot see anything. And my parents found out I needed glasses when I was 8 years old because they brought me to the Bushnell, which is the touring house in Connecticut, the big touring house. And I was, like I told you, I was obsessed with Shirley Temple movies and like so obsessed with all of, musicals and stuff like that. And they brought me to my first musical and I was terrible. And they couldn't figure out what it was. And so they brought me to the eye doctor and they're like, oh, your daughter is basically blind. She couldn't see anything. So because of going to a theater show, that's how my parents found out that I couldn't see. So that was kind of memorable in the fact that like,
Yeah.
And then I think it's so random. Thou Shall Not. I saw that and I just thought it was the coolest production.
Wasn't that Norbert Leo Butz?
Yeah.
Greg Bierko, I want to say.
I don't know. It was the girl from the girl from 42nd Street, Peggy Sawyer from 42nd Street.
Yeah.
She was genius, and it was like this like really dark and different and weird.
Yeah. I know what it's about, but I can't remember what it's about.
I don't really remember what it's about. I just, for some reason, I still have like momentary flashes in my mind. It was like 20 years ago of that show. And like, there was a part where they had like a clothing line and there was like a dance and stuff. And I also
just want to say for the record, I feel like if you say to many people that show, they would not know it, but I did.
I know, that is very true. Nobody knows that because it lasted like 5 seconds, but for some reason I still see images, and for that, and I don't remember what the show is about. But for that reason, it was super memorable to me.
I feel like it was isn't it based on Therese Recant?
I truly don't remember.
I feel, you know what? I'm going to like look into it and be like, oh, that's what it is. So
please tell me, because I just, but it was very memorable for me, as you know.
Any other experiences, or is that it?
Then that's,
Ooh.
I mean, here's the thing, every time I go see a show, it's memorable because I'm like, I'm one of those people just like loves everything. I'm in awe of what we do and like the live storytelling and just being immersed in this like world.
Yeah.
Theater is so magical. They're all memorable to me. I'm the last person that's like, oh, I didn't like this. Or like, I'm always like, that was awesome. Like, I feel like
I used to be like that, but like now that I'm older, I'm just like, I didn't like the show, but they worked their asses off, these people.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, I might not like love Cynthia Erivo, I do. That's true. Color Purple, that was like seeing her performance. I was like, holy effing mother of what is that?
I feel like there was a standing ovation after I'm Here, but I can't remember.
There was. And Heather had, what am I thinking about? Aida, seeing Aida when I first moved to the city is the only show I've seen more than once, because I've seen Pippin a million times because I've had I had 8 million friends go into it, so I had to see it a million times, and it was great. But that's why I went and saw Aida. I didn't know anybody. I was new to the city, and I saw it 3 times because I was like so in awe of that show. And I remember standing, that's all I could afford, in the back, right? And I just, Heather Headley and Terry Renee Scott, and just like, it's just like, oh, I loved it so much. I loved the score. I loved the majesticness of it. I just thought it was so.
That was my first time seeing Adam Pascal on stage. And that's where, like, yes, he was in Rent. I was obsessed with Rent. I never saw him in Rent, but like my seeing him in person, falling in love with Adam Pascal was Aida.
Oh God, he's amazing. I remember getting to do a concert with him in Japan of Frank Wildhorn music and singing a duet with him. And I was like, my little girl me, like pinching myself, being like, I'm on stage with oh
I
my
met
God.
him at the stage door of Pretty Woman, and that is the only framed photo in my apartment.
Oh my God. Was he a Pretty Woman?
He took over for Andy Carl for like a week.
Oh my God. That's so fun. I'm sure he was
Yeah.
great.
He like hit this one note, and my friend and I were like, oh, Adam Pascal voice. It was just,
Yeah.
that's my guilty pleasure musical.
Oh, what Pretty Woman?
Yeah.
I remember I was so pissed when because I like my whole life I've been told like I remind people of Julia Roberts like with my big mouth and laugh and curly hair, and so I was like,
It's going on tour.
this is my role, and I went in and they like loved me, but I was too old.
Listen, it's going on tour. The person who plays it in Germany is probably like around your age. Who knows?
I don't know. I'm okay.
Yeah. All right. So let's do inside the actor studio questions really quickly because I know you have to go.
Yes.
What is your favorite word?
My favorite word?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I think my favorite phrase is like, you know what I mean?
Sure. We'll do. What's your favorite phrase then?
You know what I mean?
Perfect. What is your least favorite word or least favorite phrase?
What's my least favorite word? I really hate when people it's not so much a word. I hate when people like over exaggerate when they like something. It's like, oh, this is so freaking good. When it's like just like a Cheerio or something, I get really mad when people like overdo things. That's.
Have you ever experienced that at a stage door? That has nothing to do with this question.
Like when people are
like where they're like, oh my God, you were so freaking good as Elphaba.
Oh yeah, but I don't mind it then.
They're like, oh, more about me. Thanks.
That's fine. No, but like my boyfriend will like always like about food. I'm like, oh my God, so freaking good. And I'm like, it drives me insane. I'm always like, okay, let's like it's an English muffin. Let's like calm it down. Do you know what I mean? Like
I would just be like, oh, is it encrusted with gold that it's so freaking good?
Yeah, I like it's like let's reserve that talk for something that is actually mind-blowing. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. What turns you on?
What turns me on?
Mm-hmm. Well, he always asks what turns you on, but what I have written is creatively, spiritually, or emotionally.
Turns me on. Well, I don't know. I can't say a lot of stuff.
You know what's so funny? So like all these inside the actor studio questions, like I don't remember if it was like Dan Radcliffe or somebody's like, I'm not going to tell you what turns me on sexually. And James looked and was like, what? These are your students. You can say. So like there was always that joke that was played in some of the actor studios where they were like, you can tell us.
I mean, like, there's nothing, if somebody is a good kisser, like, there's nothing better. That's like the sexiest thing. Also, hands really turn me on. Like, if you have really, like, a guy with like really nice big hands, I think is really sexy.
Jack, I think you just found your musical, Big Hands.
Big Hands!
Big Hands, the musical. What turns you off?
Bad breath.
Yes.
Can't handle bad breath.
Yeah, I went to see Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, and the entire front row was empty. And so during intermission, my friend and I moved to the front row, and there was this guy sitting next to me with the worst breath. So I very nonchalantly took out a breath mint, offered one to my friend, and because I was chatting with him a little bit, and I said, "Oh, would you like a breath mint?" And he took it, luckily.
Oh,
so
God.
There are ways to do it.
Oh God, yeah, no, totally. Yes. Also, I think another thing that turns me off is people that are I really narcissists. I can't handle people like somebody. There's nothing worse than somebody who just is completely unaware of anybody other than themselves.
Yes.
I just have no time for that. I can't handle it.
Well, he's no longer a president, thank God.
Thank God.
What is your favorite curse word?
Oh, the F word.
Yeah, I feel like that's everybody's favorite.
Or honestly, vagina.
You know what?
I
It's
use it as a curse word. Like when I get upset, I'll be like, vagina.
you too.
Do you?
Yeah. I was like, oh, vagina. You know, like, yeah.
So many uses.
Yeah. I think I've said that many times to my friends too. What sound or noise do you love?
What sound or noise? Oh God, I love the sound of nature. I love crickets
Mhm.
so much. And I love the sound of the ocean. I'm such an outdoor girl.
What sound or noise do you hate? The millions of
Jackhammers.
sirens happening.
Jackhammers. I hate
Yeah.
jackhammers so much.
Yeah. What profession other than yours would you like to attempt?
I would be a pet groomer.
Now I can just like
wanna be-
picture you owning like a horse farm somewhere upstate
well,
or in
I would live on a
Connecticut
beach. I would
or
live,
on a
if it
beach.
was me, I'd live in Hawaii or like some like remote island and own like a few bikinis and some flip flops and like have a pet grooming.
Listen, maybe in like 20 years when you retire,
Maybe.
there you go.
There you go.
What profession would you not like to do?
Wait, how old do you think I am? Retire in 20 years? Come on.
I'm sorry, in 50 years. Retire early, people do it.
Give a girl a break.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. What was your question?
What profession yeah, words are great. What profession would you not like to attempt?
Oh God. Anything that has to do with being in an office. I'm not good with computers or technology, so don't put me in an office. I'll screw it up.
I'll make sure not to do that. Just maybe that will be like what your Big Hands, the musical takes place in an office.
Great.
So you just like pretend you're there.
I'll pretend, yeah.
Perfect. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Oh my God. Finally, this place is going to be so fun.
It's gonna be lit.
Yeah. I've been waiting for you. You're my favorite. I'll be like, I knew it.
Nice. Well, Jackie, thank you so much for coming on to my podcast. I really appreciate it. I had the most fun just talking about all the things with you.
This was great.
And learning about all the things that you've done and that you want to do and will hopefully continue to do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to stop recording. Everyone, thank you for listening. Shout out to my old roommate who's probably listening. And that's it. Bye, guys.